because I'm over here all by myself. Inside the folder, there's a name tag for you. If you would please put that front and center so we can see everybody. And inside on the left, there's an agenda that we will follow, and all the materials that you'll need for the meeting tonight is on the right side. So we'll call the meeting to order, please, and ask you to stand for the pledge. Myron, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Few housekeeping items. For those of you who may not be familiar with the building, the exits are the door that you all came through tonight, and at the front of the building over here is a secondary exit, and the door is open. Michelle, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. The restrooms are underneath that exit sign, respectively to the right and left. The men's room is on the left, ladies' room is on the right. The folder, again, the agenda on the left, everything else you'll need is on the right-hand side. Item number 4 is committee member and guest recognition. And you all have your names out front. And I would just ask you to say your name and say hello to everybody. We'll do some more introduction a little later on. But Cindy, would you start?
Yep, I'm Cindy Carroll, and I'm on the town board.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom Dubois, I'm also on the town board.
Dawn Warwick, live here in the village, gosh, for about 30 years. You won't say how many years it's been, a long time. My interest in this is my former work with the National Portland Museum.
Edwin O'Brien, we've lived in the village now for going on 40 some odd years. I do the hometown hero banners for the active duty military in Pontiac Falls, Lima, and Mendon. And I'm also on the board for the K Project, which is a 501c3 that supports military and civilians here in this community.
My name is Myron Lepperly. I'm representing the American Legion, Falls Post 6 for this project. I've been a resident around 50 years or so, kicking around these parts. So just like Lucky and I used to ride the bus together.
I'm Bob Booth. I live here in the village as well. I do construction and stuff, so I kind of come into some ideas on the concrete or something if it needed to be. So yeah, I'm on combat vet as well. So
I'm Anne Marie Swain, newcomer, here almost 4 years. My husband retired from the Marine Corps, 30 years of service.
I'm Paul Heaney. I've been a resident here for approximately 30 years. My background is engineering, and I also am an officer in the U.S. Army Ordnance Corps. Went through ROTC. I saw the plane, the aircraft coming down out of my window, looking to the northwest. I live on Lanning Road, parallel to West Moorfield Road. Brought back memories of 1965 when I was on active duty. Told me that Army depot just outside Scranton. Post commander contacted me. He says, "I need your assistance. The C-119 cargo plane has crashed, and we need help. The Air Force needs help getting the wreckage cleaned up and all the incidental transportation requirements and so on." I managed that activity at that time. It was horrible. And it also is something my mind tried to push into the background. When I found out about these 3 crewmen, there were 3 of them, C-119 also. Luckily, 2 of them survived. Those crewmen selflessly put their lives in danger, or actually ended their lives, and the security of their family in danger, for the welfare of the community in the potential crash site. God bless those individuals, and I had to do something because it brought back so many unpleasant memories. I just had to act. And I've been working ever since that crash, looking at ways to provide a durable monument to their selflessness.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Mrs. Cook, welcome. Inside the folder, there's a name for you. And I will just offer a comment, if I may. Teresa was here for the town board meeting when the town board appointed this committee. And we talked briefly after the meeting. And at that point in time, you were agreeing to help us as a liaison for the families involved. So if that is still an accurate portrayal, welcome.
Yeah, so that I've spoken with both of them and relayed that, and I will continue to do so.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any guests or committee members via Zoom, Michelle?
No.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Michelle Booth is here tonight from Town Hall. She has agreed to do the minutes for this evening for us. So she'll be maybe asking us a question or clarification from time to time. And she's also running the Zoom for us. So if there's any comment or suggestions when we get to that point, she can engage the people who are virtually with us tonight.
If you wouldn't mind, I just would like to add a couple of things. I was pretty skeleton in my description. What brings me here and my interest is I have a son in the Marine Corps. He was an aviator in the Marine Corps, now he is in special ops. What made me feel so strongly about this is I think there's a general unawareness, there's not an awareness that men in the military, women in the military, people seem to think when they are in combat overseas, deployed, that's when they're most vulnerable. But they train every day. There's accidents. I won't say every day, but there's a fair amount, and a lot of tragedy doesn't necessarily have an association with the war. So I think it's important that we validate that point.
And I would just add, because you caught me off guard, I apologize. I was busy reading things. That I feel the same way Tom does. My husband served in the Air Force during Vietnam, and tells some stories. And since this happened, I was devastated and I couldn't sleep. And since then, I've had the desire to do something because it just helps. So this is why I chose to represent the town on this committee.
Peter? Hi.
Hello, sorry, late at another meeting.
Inside the folder, on the left, there's a little green place. If you want to put that up and just tell us a little bit about what you're doing here.
Sure, my name is Peter Leaning. I live on Maplewood Ave. I was asked to join the committee. I'm a retired military officer, an Army colonel, retired about 6 years ago now. Moved back here. While in the military, I actually flew Blackhawks. Flew medevac, the exact same one that went down. Flew those for like 14 years, went into medical operations, medical leadership. And so retired back there. So it's kind of near to my heart because that's where I used to fly. And so I was honored to be asked and glad I could help.
Thank you. I'm Muffy Meisensall, and Supervisor Moffett asked if I would chair the committee. So how I view my role is to help organize all of your thoughts, like an hourglass, and distill everything so that we can come together and then push back out our recommendation to the town board. So with that, I will, and here is Steve. We'll wait and give Steve an opportunity.
I'm waiting, I'm sorry.
Okay, there's a seat right
There's a
up there
lonely
next to
chair
mine.
over here, please. Yeah, it's tough, but here's a name. Take it on the left side inside the folder. Wait. So please introduce yourself to the group.
I'm Steve. I had the honor and privilege of serving with Steve, Christian, and Dan. I'm also a lifelong resident of Mendon. I grew up on Taylor Road. I now live on Miles Square Road. Many familiar faces around the room. Honor and privilege, the supervisor reached out to myself to be a part of this group to remember our friends.
So I just wanted to talk for a couple of minutes. One thing is that this committee is part of the town. The town board created this Citizens Advisory Committee because this a very tragic thing happened in our town, directly involved one of our residents. We felt that there was necessary that there would be a response from the town, and that's why you either contacted me or I thought of you as being an ideal person for this committee, because I think it's very important that we have a strong committee of folks with military background, community background. As you've heard, there's several lifelong residents here, but there's also a lot of experience with the military. Opens meetings law does apply here, and so all of our minutes will be on the website. We are Zooming. Individuals can come to the meetings. There will be public comment if anyone's here and wants to comment on anything, excuse me. So the idea is here that we want this to be an open book for residents so that anyone who has interest or wants to know what's going on, they'll be able to look at the minutes. They can go to the Zoom and follow it on Zoom. And I believe on it's what's the other thing it's on?
It's on the town website. It's on YouTube
YouTube.
and Zoom.
Yeah, YouTube. It's stored on YouTube. I never remember that.
And you're actually live on YouTube right now. You should all know that.
Yes. So we're asking that a report come to the town board. There's a specific charge that I think Muffy's going to go over with what the responsibilities of this group is. And we ask that you come back to the town board with a recommendation or recommendations for what you feel would be an appropriate response from the town. I also did want to say that because this is a citizens committee, it's authorized by the town board, and the town board appointed each of you at our last meeting. The important factor here is the town board cannot delegate its authority or authorize the spending of any public monies by private persons. The role of such committees is advisory only. The makeup can vary in size and often includes people from various boards. We have 2 town board members here as well. Because of open meetings law, I cannot stay because we have 2 town board members on this committee, because that would be a violation of open meetings law, and any business that was discussed, the 3 of us, because there's 5 members on the town board, would create a quorum, so I cannot stay legally. But I just want you to know that even though I'm not going to be here, it doesn't take away from my feelings on how important this is, as I know all of you here. So then I want to thank Muffy Isaac, lifelong friend of mine, who has extensive experience in government, and she can, definitely keep folks in tune with what's going on, as well as the town board members can keep the town board. So, thank you very much for your participation, everyone.
Does anyone have any questions for the supervisor before we leave? Is there anyone on Zoom yet or virtual follow?
Be a signal if I do.
Okay. Thank you. Side of your Mrs. Coates on that roster, because she will be, a right hand, for the committee. So, please note that I did not leave my email, because we will be the central point of contact with one another, through the town hall. I'll go over that in a minute, but all of the committee members in this code are listed on this. And Steve, I'm going to ask you to spell your name so that we can all edit that line for you, please.
TSCH, then it's ICERER.
Yeah, with my sister.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is anyone else needing to add to their entry on this roster?
I can fill in myself. So this is the, people are it's 749-2910, and that's for Tommy Paul. 749-2910.
Steve, is your name spelled correct?
Is anyone want to add anything to the main roundtable?
About 3 days, 4 days after the town meeting, we were all appointed. I contacted the town. Find out how to contact you. And it was absolutely not.
Well, because we don't want anything to be outside the scope of the town, Denise Zimmerman, who's at the bottom of the roster here, she's the last entry. She is going to be the central point of contact for any material that will be either distributed to the committee, collected from the committee members. This is a town function. It's important for us to make sure that everything that we do goes through the town of Mendon. So I'm not in a position to be distributing things via email. Once in a while I can run to the house with something if it's that important. I certainly would do that. But I'm not a focus point for this, only to chair the meeting procedurally and focus the committee's purpose. Everything else will go through the town for the open meetings, any of our public records.
So when you say town, is that the same number I'm doing tonight? I came from a meeting, I was a meeting, so I was trying to get a hold of you. So just, I guess, just email Denise for any information.
Part of that, if you don't mind, is open meeting laws. It's took me a while to wrap my head around it. I might not be all over there. But what this will avoid is sidebar discussions that Cindy and I might have, but no one else is aware of. So what this does is it just funnels through, and
Seven. On the agenda, there are some words that are bold. Those designate either an action that we need to take or something we need to do collectively. So where you see bold, that will motivate an action item. All right, so the New York State Open Meetings Law obviously is an important point. You heard John speak to that. This is a town function. Anything we do must know for those of you across the room, it's gonna be kind of hard to see, but let me just walk you through this a little bit. Our meetings will take place here, is with other town board functions that are here, planning board meets here, zoning board, town board, and there is an X through the days that this room is unavailable to us in the evening. Now, I know some of you work, some of you are retired, so let's start there. Is 7 o'clock a good time, 7 to 8? I don't like to go any more than an hour unless we have something. Is that an agreeable time frame? Okay, so that puts us at evening presence. We can't meet on any days with an X. The other constraint we have is that our meetings need to be published by legal notice in the town official newspaper, which is a sentinel. So the town submits the meeting schedule to the sentinel. They will do that on Monday, which will be March 29th. So we're going to decide our meeting schedule tonight. The newspaper is published on Thursday for subscribers, which means it'll come out in the April 1st edition of the Sentinel. And being that the first is a Thursday, the second is a Friday already, I don't think we're going to meet on a Friday evening at 7 o'clock. So my presumption is that the first time we could possibly meet would be the 6th, and that's a meeting night here, is the 7th, 8th. So our first potential next meeting here would be Friday the 9th. And if you take Fridays off, we're at Tuesday the 13th. Now, you're all here. It's a Tuesday night. Is Tuesday a good night for everybody? That is second. Wednesday night can be problematic here, and Thursday night can be problematic. So we get the hopscotch. Does anybody else have a Tuesday evening conflict?
No.
Which Tuesdays are a conflict for you?
The 6th is, so it's good, so I.
So we have to have our recommendation submitted to the town board no later than their meeting in September on the 13th. That's our deadline. Now, that doesn't mean that if we come to a recommendation sooner, we can't go to the town board. But that's the absolute last time they meet, that we can go before them. So I don't know if you want to meet like a couple of, every other week for a couple of meetings, or if you think a month is okay. Give me an idea what you want to do, and we'll find some days here. Do that then.
Yeah.
All right, let's back into this. The next item in the packet is the resolution that came to you with a letter of appointment. And on the first page, column letterhead down toward the bottom, there's a 1, 2, 3. This is actually a charge to the committee. This is our focus. This is our purpose. This is our mission. This is what we will be doing. 1, we're tasked with a compassionate liaison with the guardsmen's families to ensure any end product is appropriate, respectful, and meaningful. And we're going to look to Mrs. Cook to help us with that, to get the family's perspective, to get the family feedback on any ideas, thoughts that you have. Number 2, we are tasked to recommend a memorial site location, considering the incident location, but also exploring currently owned town property as well. So the focus for a site is narrowed in number 2. Right now, our consideration is town property. We're going to go over that. Number 3, we're also tasked to recommend an overall memorial concept or concepts are not designers. We are not builders. We are simply to provide concepts that take multiple ideas and thoughts into consideration. But our purpose is not to build something specific. It's outside of our realm. So you may hear me, saying, well, wait a minute, we need to keep focus on these things. That's the charge to the committee. And if I put it before you tonight, as well as having it come to your appointment letter so that you can reference it. So please go back to this if you think we're getting astray.
So please clarify, so the last bullet, we were just looking at concept and design, drawing.
No, we're looking at concepts, and as we go through our process, I think that will become a little more clear to you. That's not to say that anything you have for an idea, because many of us probably have already built something in our own minds, but we're going to take that idea that you might have, and we're going to put it on a format that we can discuss and look at in common denominators of concepts to get more of a general idea of what we want to do. Right. Yes. The town board has no authority over the property. That does not mean that if the committee makes a recommendation that considers a village-owned parcel, the town may ask the village about it. No, it's not prohibited. It's just that the only thing the town board can consider is town-owned property. Okay. The committee communications, I think we talked about some of this. Denise is going to be the point of contact for central communication purposes. For contact information is on the roster that you have. The town's electronic presence for our purposes and our record keeping and our forward face to the public would be through the town website. And I will caution you, because I don't know you individually or what your electronic presence is, but none of what we do should be personalized through our own communication. So for a committee member to put anything that we are doing collectively as a town function on your own, if you have a website, your own Facebook, your own Instagram, whatever platform you're on, please, I caution you not to do that. That gets us in a runaway mode with the public. And it can portray information that is not accurate, taken out of context by the reader. So I caution you on that. That's very shaky ground and slippery slope. If you choose to do that, I hope you're very cautious about it.
Michelle Conrad, she runs the town Facebook page. And what I would suggest, if there is a point where we would, if Michelle and the committee person on the website, then maybe you can share.
Yes.
That might be a way to do it.
Yes.
I am emotionally involved in this, what I feel is a requirement on the part of people in this town. And I would like this to stop today.
Okay.
I should stop that. Is that what you're saying?
No. If you have a Facebook page and you
No,
just,
I don't.
okay, are you on
I
an electronic platform?
I have a computer.
I do too, but I'm not a social media person.
No, I'm not going to use my social media.
Don't worry about
What
that.
I'm saying is, that, for example, I contacted an artist. I contacted my fabricator. I contacted I was planning tomorrow, talking about a black fabricator. That sort of thing.
Well, whatever you would like to do. But it's not our position, according to our charge, to start doing those things. We have no authority to, engage anybody. If you're doing some research that you want to share later with the town board after we make a recommendation, that's up to you, Mr. Mooney, but
Basically, you're saying research is fine, don't commit anything.
right, yeah, we have no authority to commit to anything, right? We don't have that
I
last,
understand.
okay, great.
Again, I'm sorry, I keep on jumping in, but I come from a marketing background, and I don't need to make my business in a marketing standpoint. But basically, we are the that's the portion we got to figure out what people think when they see us, what they so I mean that's just kind of clear.
Yes, and then the town board will decide if they're going to engage for making the grant the living.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going here. Decision making, like to do a consensus where we can. If we need to actually vote on something, we would be doing it with someone making a motion to take an action, someone seconding that motion to get it on the floor for discussion, and then we would vote on it. We are a committee of 11 people. If we need to take a vote, the chair will not vote unless it's to break a tie. So my role is not to be an influence, not to be steering people's ideas, it's to help clear a pathway to get to our recommendation to the town board. So I don't intend to be engaged in any deliberation of what you want to like. I hope that helps clarify. Because there's 10 of you in what I would say voting positions. If we ever have a tie, then this would be the tiebreaker because of the odd person. But otherwise, we'll work on consensus. I think that's best for our purpose here. All right, let's look at the committee charge, and hopefully all of this will be a little clearer now that we've got some kind of idea of the process. If you go, please, to the next item on the agenda. Task 1 in the resolution was the family representation and integration in the committee. Again, Mrs. Cope is graciously offered to be our family lead. Task 2 is town property. Again, I apologize for the size of this, but I'm going to kind of orient you. And you have an index. The next item in the packet is an index of town-owned property. And it is on this map in yellow. So as we go down the list here, the first block, in other words, down half the page to that shaded area that has no print in it, is the property owned by the town within the corporate limit of the village. This is town property in the village. The first one is the town hall. What you'll see for each of these properties is the address of record, its current use as a land use or a building use for a town purpose. The next column is the acreage, the size of the total parcel, not how much is covered by a building or a function, the total real estate on that lot. And the last is the parcel identification, it's the tax number that goes with that parcel. So that however you would want to reference it, you would be able to reference it by address and by the parcel ID or tax number, or by the name that it goes by. The community center is this building. You'll see the uses off of North Main Street. There's the old library that accesses on 15 Monroe Street. And then if you've been in the library and you pull in the parking lot, you'll notice that you're in the back of the houses that border the square of Maplewood, Locust Street, Monroe Street, and North Main Street. In the interior of all of those lots is a vacant parcel that sits by itself. It's a standalone parcel that the town owns. So that's this little blurb here. This is the village, I'm sorry. The village is down here. North is up. Okay, so this is the village. The last entry that shows in the village is the ambulance base. It's 210 East Street. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with it, it's where the ambulance is housed. It's quite a large parcel. It also is a meeting room for community use. And you'll see the asterisk at 210 East Street, indicating down below that the property is jointly owned by the village and the town. So going to be considered for purposes, there would need to be a discussion between the town and the village board on that. The other three entries going down the page are outside of the village proper. The first one is the highway garage, and that's right in the middle of this large yellow block here. That's a separate parcel inside of an upside down view here, which on the west side, that side is softball fields. That's the next entry. And then soccer fields are on the east side, this side. And there's a double asterisk after the address of the softball fields. And if you look at the bottom of the page, there's a reason for this. This is treated a little differently. If this is an area that you want to consider, we will need to reference the New York State designation for municipal parklands, because there are restrictions and conditions, and that parcel is a parkland, but dedicated for the purposes that New York State defines parklands. So that's a consideration. And then the other entry under Parks and Recreation is the town tennis courts, and that's over here, Mendon Center. And if you're familiar with Mendon Center and the town tennis courts. And then there are a couple parcels of vacant land. The first one listed there is opposite the highway garage. It's this lower portion of yellow. It's an active piece of farmland that the town rents out to a local farmer every year. And then on Gravel Hill, maybe you can't see it, but if you'll see, it's 0.39 acres. It's small. It's at the end of Gravel Hill Lane, which is a town right of way, town road. Are there any questions about these parcels? Yes, Ed.
I have a question. Jumping back to the library, specifically 15 Monroe, the old. Is that space?
Yeah,
That's in the, what would be considered the 1970s portion of the center block portion. There's nothing.
Now, I want to go to the next one because I think this might help us get back to the meeting schedule. If you take the last piece of the packet, it's a single page, again, town letterhead and the resolution. I'm going to refer to that in a minute, so you can keep that out. And hopefully each of you have 3 stapled packets. Anybody joining us yet virtually? No? Okay. If you look back at the agenda, you'll see that there's bold for military protocol, family guidance, and memorial consideration. So military protocol, I'm going to draw your attention to the first listing on the staple packet. And please follow along as I read what I wrote above here. This is a checklist of sorts to focus committee discussion to fulfill our charge from the town board to recommend a concept and a site for a town memorial. To push us forward, to have us go in that direction, you'll see I made 2 bullet entries under military protocol because I don't have a clue if there is a military protocol in any way, shape, or form for memorials of any sort. So I wanted to know that first.
Not, maybe if you're gonna put on a military installation, then there's some left and rights, but being in the public, as long as you're following the flag code, if you're displaying the flag.
See company here.
Flag or national protocol, but besides that.
Okay.
I think it's very important to ask, but I think the family is more important than the unit.
Yes.
Would
The
you
unit
go?
agrees.
Would you please?
You are the unit.
I am a unit.
Thank you. I didn't know that.
Would you, but please ask your commander
Sure.
just
Yeah,
to
that's fine.
clear us on everything and report back to us next time.
Sure.
Yes,
I'm in contact with the commander as well, so yeah.
so part of the reason for this to be bold is that I would like us to have at our next meeting, something definitive, doesn't have to be in writing, just definitively from the military.
Sure.
Saying, this is what we, would like.
Okay.
I wrote down National Flag Code. If there's anything else, please convey that to us so that we take that into consideration as we move forward.
Okay.
Okay. The next item, again in bold, is the family guidance. You'll see there's bullets there, not meant to be inclusive with 4. Certainly there might be a number of things that the families would like us to consider or to be guided with.
Sure.
If next time you could help us understand what your thoughts are on that.
Sure, I'm happy, I have a couple of initial thoughts unless you want me to wait for next time.
I'd really like to wait till
Okay.
next time because I'd like to let you go at 8 o'clock and just make sure you're familiar with what this is, because this is a tool of guidance for us. Then you'll just see basics as memorial considerations. The rest of this, the other pages and the titles and the bullet points are meant to have you take your ideas, those things that you think are important, those things that you've already come up with that you think must be included or should be included, find a place here to put those down. So in that, think about, are there any options to integrate a town memorial in something that already exists? Could be considering everything you want to do and integrate with something that's already out there to enhance it, to help exposure for this memorial. And the last item in the packet, this resolution is also a town board resolution at their last meeting, supporting Assemblywoman Marge Burns and her desire to dedicate a portion of Route 65 to Christian folk. And 64, did I say 5? I'm sorry, we're on 64. From 251 in the hamlet of Mendon, southbound to the county line. So, again, this is something that may or may not happen. If it does happen, that's fine. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But if you feel that there's something that we should look at that could incorporate a portion of something that would be done by the state, fine. Okay. So that second bullet that says C company, that's a typo. You want to cross that out. Certainly, there are other things that you might know of. Someone might say there's a veterans memorial here. We should look at that. But that's what I mean by integration. Is there something out there already that we could look toward to enhance? This is where you would note that. Go to the next page, please. The intention of what we want to do. Some of you may have the intention that the memorial should help educate people in some way about the National Guard, about these 3 men, about the mission. Is there any symbolism that you think should be included? For example, symbolism might be the logo of the company, those kinds of things. If you think there's something important about symbolism, write it down there. If you have a strong desire for a specific inscription that should be part of this, whether it's for education or just information for the person looking at it, write down your thoughts. Other intentions that you have that are captured in your idea, that's bullets. And these bullets are not meant to be finite, they're infinite. You can have as many as you want. If your idea fits best under memorial present, if you're looking at, in your mind's eye, some structure, what is it? If you have infrastructure requirements for your structure or your memorial, write down what the infrastructure should be. Does it need a parking lot? Does it need a driveway? Something that would get people to it or would allow it to function the way you want it to function. Utility requirements, does it need electricity? Does it need water? Does it need something else? And please add another bullet right there called utility access. Because if your recommendation from the committee ultimately involves utilities, I think we need to do our due diligence to pass to the town board that it's, at the street or it's 500 feet away, that kind of thing. Does what you want to do have the ability for expansion in some way? Is there phasing that might be required? Is there a maintenance requirement on what the proposal is? And then you'll see it says capital cost estimate. If you have an idea from research that you've done or something that you know because you're in construction or you've done something like this before, put your estimate down there. And if you go to the next page, you'll see that if you have a capital cost estimate, you might also have an annual operation cost. So if your idea involves utilities, there's going to be a cost for the utilities. So whatever it would cost to maintain it that you are aware of, and maybe you don't know dollar values, but you know there's going to be some operational costs because of the scope of this, write down what the costs might be in a description, utilities, snow plowing, whatever it might be. And then there's other things. Okay, so that's what there's extra bullets, and please feel free to add more. About the memorial site, all right, where is it? It may not have an address, it might just be a location. Or you might say, you want it on one of these town sites, and that town site is known by a name, put the name there. If it's not a town site that your thoughts are with, where is it? Who owns the property? That's going to be important. Is there public access to this site? Is it easily accessible even if it's not town property? Okay. The existing site uses, do they assist? If it's on a site with other amenities, other buildings, another presence, does it integrate with something else? If it does, fine. How does it do that? It might not be obvious to all of us. Does it need a standalone presence, or your initial concept is standalone but expandable? Is it compatible with neighboring land uses? You know, if you think that there's a piece of property that would be perfect, but it's smack dab in the middle of a residential section or a commercial zone or something else that the town board is going to have to consider, and you know that, or you look at the property, we need to know what your thoughts are about that. And again, more opportunity for you to expand with those bullets. And then the last page, there's other. So that could be anything that's already not considered here. And then I think one of the things that's going to be important for the town board with our recommendation when we make it is the concept is expected to sustain for X. Is it a number of years? Because of the nature of it, it will require something at certain intervals, or I don't know, maybe somebody's idea is we do something for a certain amount of time and then it kind of trails off. I don't know. I have no idea what your thoughts are. Or is what your intention here is to have something in perpetuity? And if, you know, I'm not gonna, I didn't mean to say that it stops when I said trails off, more along the lines of, right now, we have 3 guardsmen that we're honoring. There may be more. There may be a focus in time out 5 decades to have something that generally recognizes guardsmen. So I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think it's important that we define where we are with this. Okay, now that said, and understanding that, you know, you have an opportunity to put your thoughts down here, we'll capture everybody's ideas, see if there are commonalities that can help us, as Tom says, hone in on a brand, that everybody's kind of in agreement because you're all saying the same thing about some of these points. That's great. It makes it easier for us to continue to go forward. Otherwise, we'll just hold these and continue to distill, you know, your general concept for recommendation. Now, with what you've offered to do, Mrs. Koch, and we're looking at Mrs. Koch, right? Okay. The other item here is the memorial considerations. Do you feel that you can do that in a way that gives you enough time and keeps us moving forward? If we look at the 13th of April, which is a Tuesday, is that a good night from 7 to 8 to get back together? Is anyone not able to be here via Zoom or in person? All right, let's go with April 13th. All right, now, knowing what we're doing, knowing what we're going to be doing and putting this all together, do you want to meet on an expedited basis, like a couple weeks apart for a few meetings? Do you want to do a monthly basis? What's your thought?
Might be easier to do like an every other week initially, just so we can narrow down, because we're all, like you said, we're all gonna have ideas. Narrow that down, then once we narrow down that scope, then we can space them out a little more.
I would agree.
All right. If we give ourselves an every other week, the next opportunity would be Tuesday, the 27th. Is that a good day?
Yes.
Anyone not? Okay. So in April, we're looking at the 13th and the 27th. Now, if we go to May, the next opening would be same interval, 2 weeks, and it would be May 11th. That is the second Tuesday of May. Is that an issue for anyone? Good? Okay, May 11th. Now, that's 3 meetings, you know, every other week. Is that enough, or do you want to find another one like that?
Why don't we see what it looks like after that date?
Well, I understand what you're saying,
Or do you
that,
want to fill up the calendar?
but we have a problem because we're gonna get one legal advertisement with all of our meetings. And I have to have that to the town hall after.
I'd recommend we jump to June 8th then, because then it's Memorial Day weekend, right? Is it 27th?
Memorial Day celebration is the 31st on Monday. So if we go for a 4th meeting every other week, we would be May 25th. That's the Tuesday before Memorial Day weekend.
Still okay.
Any problem? Do you want to do that or no? Yes?
That's good.
Yes. Okay.
We can subtract them if we don't really feel we need them, correct? But when we want to speak.
Would be a short
We
meeting.
want to schedule.
It would be a very short meeting.
Right.
You know, I could come and we don't have a quorum, so we can't have a meeting. Okay?
We want us on the calendar. It's the primary.
Yes, and when they're advertised, they're expected. So if you decide we're not gonna meet on the 25th, I come and there's nobody here to have a meeting, then, you know, we don't have a meeting.
I
But
understand.
you can't cancel the public out without notice.
Because you're making one announcement for like 6 meetings,
Well,
or whatever meeting.
our meeting announcement until we go to the town board on the 13th of September, or if we're gonna go sooner than that. All right, so now we're into June. Are we good with every other week, or do you still wanna do that?
The only question I have, can we make a second announcement if that's 4 meetings? Because I don't know how far or how fast we're gonna go with 4 meetings.
I know we don't know that, but I'm being pressured to do the whole thing right now, so.
I mean, could we just say it ends up being what, the second and the 4th Tuesday of every month?
Muffy, like we do, oh, sorry. Zoning and planning, we do 1st and 3rd or 2nd and 4th, Wednesdays or Thursdays. And then it's also stated in there that if it's canceled, we put a thing in the paper saying the meeting's canceled. You'll see it on our webpage, you'll see it.
Yeah, it can be put on the website quickly, but.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if we have to cancel, we kind of have to know at least
in advance.
2 weeks in advance.
Do you want to do 2 meetings in June and then go to one a month? Would that work? I know it's kind of I would think if we do 2 meetings in June, by then we go to 1 in July and 1 in August to get ready for September.
You could do one for June, one for July, and then what's the date in September?
13. Right here, the last block.
If we have time for 2 meetings in September to put together whatever our recommendations are for the board.
No,
Not a board meeting.
not unless we meet on an off day.
It's just hard to see them.
I know, I'm sorry.
I'm the optimist. It's possible that we could get a good solution by June. I would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
6 or 8 meetings, you know, especially we're only bringing a concept. We are not bringing a.
Right.
So I'm good going through June and then putting in one for July, August, 1 each, and we may be done and we can cancel them.
Okay.
That would be my
All
recommendation.
right, so the June Tuesdays, if we follow the every other week, would be June 8th and June 22. Does that work?
I won't be here for the 22nd, but I could do it on Zoom.
Okay, would that be agreeable to you? All right, so June 8th and June 22. And then do you want to pick one Tuesday in July? We would have 13, 20, 27 July possibility. That would be the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Tuesday in July.
Let's stick with the 2nd, let's do the 13th.
Okay. August, the 2nd Tuesday would be the 10th. Anybody know?
Could you repeat the July dates?
July is one time and it's Tuesday the 13th.
Okay.
Anybody have a problem with August 10th? Second Tuesday? Good? Okay, we'll do that. And then we'll firm everything up for a recommendation. If we have to do something else, then we'll find a day with a publication to be put and all that stuff. But that would do it. Okay, so for your purposes, on the bottom of the agenda, our next meeting is Tuesday, April 13th, April 27th, May 11th, May 25th, June 8th, June 22, July 13th, August 10th. And we'll put those out in the meeting minutes, and Denise, I'll have her email you that schedule as well. Okay, now, for next time, we'll hear back from Mrs. Koch about anything related to the military protocol, other than the flag, national flag code. Anything that the families would like us to consider or be aware of. Okay, and then all of you, please feel free, but I'm going to ask you to use this so that when we're discussing your ideas, we have a common platform on which to work. Okay? So there's 3. If you need more than 3 copies, contact Denise. She could email it to you, or she could mail it to you. All right. Anything else that we need to be aware of that you want to have out there generally?
One suggestion, I haven't said so many words, but there are things, like for instance, I put together what I thought would be a reasonable statement for the memorial of selfless American heroes.
Okay.
Okay?
Certainly we'll.
And I've got the text.
Well,
I don't want to bother anybody.
But no.
Like that. But
add that to whatever
yeah,
you're going to do here.
that's my plan. But suppose I were to talk to Teresa and say, well, what do you think of this?
Well, that's,
Would that be objectionable to anybody?
we have to ask her.
Oh, I would ask her before I started talking.
Yeah, but,
But, you know, so we can.
but what we're going to
between
learn
us.
the next time is what the family's guidance is
I
going to
understand.
be. So once we hear that, maybe if we're going to talk about an inscription, that's when you would want to share that with everybody.
I understand, but what I'm getting at is there's no reason why, if she wants to talk to me about something like that, then she can call me, she's got my phone number, okay? And the same is true of everybody else here, although I don't really know most, any of you actually. But I've got some ideas and all, and I will be pursuing some, such as the cost of making some things out of various subjects.
And we hope that you'll share all of that with all of us.
No, I'm keeping that secret to myself. No, seriously, that's what I'm hoping is because, for instance, our town supervisor might not be interested in what type of stone or make this thing out of.
That's not,
That's not what we're doing.
that's not why we're here.
No, but what I'm getting at is I can get prices on granite, marble, that sort of thing.
You're welcome to do whatever research you want, but please
Yeah.
don't make any pretense.
I'm not saying, no firm commitments, no firm commitments.
Not even the pretense of it, because the town board may decide to do it out of construction paper. I mean, it's, so I don't want you to be upset that what you present here is not going
Well,
forward.
if you don't want me to do the research, say so.
No, it's not what if you want to do research, you're welcome to do it,
I
and
would
then
think that
share
everybody
it.
else on this
Share it
committee
with
that was
us.
interested in things that I'm looking at, and I might be interested in some of the things you're looking at.
And that's what we're gonna do the next
That's what we-
time. That's why
We
we're
should say at
here.
the meeting for that kind of, again, I would caution against too much offline, because if we start quizzing, well, what's the family really want, whatever, well, we're gonna learn that next meeting.
Right.
And that's when we're gonna be able to discuss it as a committee. So.
So you're saying we shouldn't do that?
No, you can do it, but it's just not, it's not official business. So
Oh, I
let's,
understand, that's not. a-
you can research all you want, and you can bring that information in, that's great.
But if we all hear the same thing from you at the same time, then we understand and have the
And that's
opportunity.
the point, but my point is that if nobody agrees with my idea of making it a granite monument, for example,
Then that's,
everybody's against it.
then it stops right
But,
right
yeah,
there.
that's right, but why take up the committee's time? When I talk to 2 or 3 other people who have some experience, and they think, well, it's not a good idea because, oh, how about marble? You know, let's make it out of marble.
But we
No,
don't know
marble
what we're
is
even going to
roads.
need anything like
So I would be
that.
against making a marble monument because marble erodes in our.
But see, you have to go back to, oh, we're a concept. The
Yeah.
concept is going to be a blank. That's our concept, we're going to come to the board, and the board will then run with it. Our job is not to say,
Okay.
it looks like this, it's shaped like this, it's made of this is what we want,
Don't,
correct?
so don't share my ideas. Not problem,
No, that, share your idea,
but only at the meetings.
that's how we all benefit from your research.
Well, that's how we're gonna agree if we want to do something you like.
Right. I mean, individually, everybody might say, yes, I like your idea, and then as a committee, they say, no, ultimately. So I don't want you to,
So you don't want any cross communication offline.
it's not what I'm saying.
This is the only official.
I understand, this is
forum
the
for your idea.
official. What I'm getting at is that, you know, I've got all your telephone numbers. I don't have your emails. Or I could send that thing out to everybody and, you know, say, hey, what do you think of this? And if everybody, you know, agrees with it, okay, fine, let it ride. If 3/4 of people agree with it, we'll still let it, you know, we'll present it to the next meeting. If only one other person agrees with it, then forget it, it's fine. Saves the time in the meeting.
I don't see it
They
that
don't see
way.
the official.
I think it's important that we all understand everybody's thoughts. Steve?
Okay. All the other pieces of members, we're all not elected, but we're representing the community.
Yeah.
And through that computer and through the minutes, the community's gonna see what we talked about. So every idea that's brought up here is recorded. If we have an offline conversation, it's not recorded. So there might be another person in the community that has a similar idea that you thought of. And they're like, well, gee whiz, why didn't these guys think of that? But if we get it into the minutes, they can read the minutes and go, oh, look at that, somebody did think about that too. So it's good to capture your thoughts in this setting, because if we have an offline conversation, it's not captured. You kind of see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying.
I understand, I'm sympathetic to you saying you don't want to waste the committee's time, but it also helps communicate with that transparency and all that.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't, just a point of clarification. Mr. Pyle and Mr. Pope were assigned to Charlie Company 171. Mr. Skoda, at the time of the accident, was actually assigned to Bravo Company, 642nd Aviation Support Battalion. He was a lineage dust-off guy for years, but when he was promoted to Chief Warrant Officer 5, he actually had to promote out of our unit. So he was technically assigned to Bravo Company, 642.
He was just flying with you guys that night.
Yeah, so I don't flight facility too, sir. It's one of the only Blackhawks. So 642 staff officers and Bravo Company was actually headquartered on Long Island. Yeah, they're co-located up here for their full-time employment. They're allowed to fly with us on our ATP.
Makes sense.
Yes, sir.
There's a ton of acronyms in the military.
I know.
All right, we'll make that notation next time on an official one of these for our deliberation that there's 2 companies involved here. Mrs. Pope, is there something that you can follow as well? Okay, all right. Okay, anything else? All right, well, I thank you all. I think, you know, we basically have a process outlined for us to follow. And again, the intention is to get everything together and then get it back out. So if you think about an hourglass, hopefully this is helpful in terms of the tools that you need. And we'll stay together again. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on April 13th.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
It's lovely.